We're coming up on the 4th of July here in America, our Independence Day. What better time to talk about this subject? If you want to be great, if we want American soccer to be great from a social, economic, and on-field sporting standpoint, it must start with a dream, a vision of the greatness we want to achieve. What do we want American soccer to look like here in the States and then in the context of competition around the world in comparison with other nations? So right now, I think most agree that American soccer is pretty mediocre when you line it with the rest of the world as far as our club teams and national team competing outside of our country, and then our domestic game is, in comparison with our soccer population and our infrastructure and wealth, our domestic club game is underachieving by a long ways in comparison to what it could be. So, American soccer, we must start with that dream of being a superpower national team, having super clubs in our big cities here in America. We have over a dozen giant markets that could host multiple big clubs in the context of global soccer clubs. So we need to have that dream ahead of us. If we don't start with that dream, we are not going to make progress. You put the dream in place, then you figure out how to get there. And what I propose, what many in America propose, is a system which has proven wildly successful around the world in leveraging potential for soccer nations. An open system, a fair competition industry with promotion and relegation for clubs and individuals. We can do the same here in America. It aligns with American values of fair competition and equality and inclusion for all. Our U.S. sport model actually is quite the opposite of what we call the American dream or American opportunistic values. So let's change that with our soccer. We can learn from the rest of the world, in this case, nations that have these open and inclusive markets. We can apply that here. And as America has proven in many cases, America can do things better than most places around the world. So if we adopt the same proven system here, we can achieve greater things than the current international soccer superpowers have. So like Germany, Spain, Brazil, nations like that. Why not dream big for our U.S. Open Cup? I see a U.S. Open Cup itself that could be March Madness, the NCAA men's basketball tournament. That's huge in the springtime every year. The Open Cup could be 10 times what that is as far as its reach and and the interest generated around it. Remember, in basketball, we're talking about a sport which maybe is not as popular here in America as far as raw soccer fans and interest in the game. And we're talking about just colleges with March Madness. So it's a lower level of play and a lot more isolated in terms of access to the competition. So the Open Cup, I picture a thriving Open Cup that brings in teams from all levels around the country. We'll have to figure out, because I think it'll be so big that we're going to have to figure out a way to fit it all in a one calendar year. Figure out some sort of qualifying process for the lower tiers so we can include as many teams as we can in that one calendar year. But the Cup alone, which is seen as the secondary competition to the league system, our Cup could be the greatest domestic soccer cup in world history, bar none. And then it could blow any U.S. tournament or sporting competition out of the water. And then when you look on the league side, now not just our first division, but our second, third, and fourth divisions could be very, very strong. I propose breaking down America into two separate East and West pyramids that we kind of encompass more of the country, and then we can have more variety in our top divisions. So if you look at what the first, second, and third divisions would look like in a two-pyramid system, we could have massive clubs all the way down to Division 3, 4, and 5 here in America. We've got, what is it? I think it's at least like 50 cities here in America with over 100,000 people. That's we're the size of Europe, essentially. And so when you look at the huge markets here we have in this country, we've got the ability to host many, many, many super clubs. So we're not just talking Spain or England, where they have London and Manchester and a couple of big cities. We've got 12 to 20 huge cities here that could host super clubs and many other clubs in their metropolitan areas. Not to mention, the smaller, lesser metropolitan areas in our country that are still pretty big in the grand scheme of things. So we have the raw potential here with our population and our infrastructure to host many great clubs. So we could see, in our third, fourth, fifth divisions, we could have crowds of over 15, 20, 30,000 people, realistically, when you think about it. So the potential we have here is tremendous. We have to dream big. If we don't have a U.S. Soccer Governing Federation that's dreaming big for the future of the sport here, then we need a new federation, or we need new leadership for this current federation. We are losing ground on the world's leading nations in soccer. Our current Division I, MLS, is capturing a smaller slice of the American soccer market every year. So that means the interest Americans have in soccer is going faster to foreign leagues and foreign competitions than it is to our own Division I, MLS. So in the long run, we are losing, even though they can say, oh, MLS interest is growing. Well, if you look at the grand scheme of things, the whole pie, well, the growth rate is faster as far as our interest in competition, soccer competitions, outside of our own domestic league structure. So we are losing ground right now, and we need to dream bigger. We need to rethink things, change our focus, and we need to not just make tweaks, address symptoms, but we need to think drastically, and a complete overhaul of our system and the implementation of a proven worldwide open and inclusive industry with promotion relegation is the way to go. Again, it doesn't happen overnight, but what we need to happen first is U.S. Soccer, our federation, to make the declaration, say that it's going to happen, and then set some sort of timeline, and then we'll work to plan out the logistics and get everything mapped out. And then teams have time to prepare during that preparation period of a few years. So it can be managed. It's not a big deal to implement. Any sticking point with promotion relegation, USA Soccer, we can address. Again, it just takes a transition period, and we just have to sit down, map it out, figure things out. And then clubs will do most of the work. They'll prepare themselves during that prep period. So, and I think we're going to see a ton of interest and investment flow into clubs at all levels in U.S. Soccer once U.S. Soccer declares definitively that promotion relegation will come. So USA Soccer must dream big. That's the moral of this story as we come up on 4th of July 2017. So we need a U.S. Soccer Federation, and we need U.S. soccer fans to start demanding more and to start dreaming beyond mediocrity. So if you like this video, make sure to share it out on social media and also subscribe to my channel right here. And I'll talk to you soon.